And we're good to go. Okay. So let me share my screen in Discord too. Welcome everybody to the fourth workshop of our intermediate cadence course. Today is probably going to be a lot shorter, simply because chapter 2 is actually very short. I didn't have much content for this chapter, but nonetheless, it is cool stuff. Welcome everyone. Raven, thanks for joining. BZ, I love that you do the live streaming before the workshops because it gathers everyone together. It's always fun. Hey Falcon, and hey everyone else in here. Yo, what's up, Ricardo? Um, Also sorry to Ricardo for I haven't been able to look at your quest yet. Knowing you, I'm sure you did a good job, but I'll take a closer look later today. All right, so what are we talking about today? Well, we're actually going to be we're going to be revisiting access modifiers a little bit. Remember access modifiers for like pub, access contract, public set, stuff like that. And we're going to be exploring a pattern that I actually use all the time in my contracts that I think is really cool. So um, I don't know what to call this pattern, so I literally just call it the access contract pattern. And if you see me code the float contracts or MotoGP back in the day, I do use this all the time. So let's describe the problem really quick and see where I'm headed with this. Now, just a quick recap. Access contract is an access modifier. You can put it on variables like this or functions like this. And so what is this pattern that I'm talking about? Well, let's say you have a scenario where an admin wants to be able to call a function on someone else's resource. However, in order for that to happen, the function must be publicly accessible, or the admin won't be able to call it, right? Because in Cadence, when we talk about resource-oriented programming, users store their own resources, and admins are not really able to do admin things on that collection right away, right? Like even as the admin of the contract, I can't just like go into your collection and withdraw an NFT, right? That's not allowed, and it shouldn't be allowed, right? But what if the admin does want to take some sort of admin control over your collection, um, and not allow other people to be able to do that, right? So only admins can do certain things in your collections. So what you could do though is you could make that function. Let's say you had a NFT collection and you wanted I don't know. Let's say you had an NFT collection and you wanted the admins to be able to withdraw from it, right? Or you wanted the admin to be able to call a function in that collection to upgrade your NFT or something like that, right? Well, you have to make the function public in order for the admin to read into your collection from a public standpoint and update it. But the problem is that if the function's public, then anyone can call it, right? And we don't necessarily want everyone to be able to call it. We just want admins to be able to call it. So an example problem is let's say we want an admin to be able to prevent a user from transferring the NFTs. Um, we can look at this contract really quick, and actually I'll paste it into the playground here. Ooh. Okay, playground. What's this? Should we use this? Why not? All right, new beta playground. Cool. That's pretty sick. Sorry, I'm just drinking water. My throat's really dry. But anyways, this isn't a full contract. It's just like sort of like a slimmed down one. Well, let's take a look, right? So there's a collection. There's owned NFTs. There's a locked variable here, a withdraw function, and then this lock function, which if this gets called, it locks the collection, and you can no longer withdraw if your collection is locked, right? So how do we make it so the admin can lock this collection? Well, we can do something where we basically make a public resource interface where we say, okay, pub resource collection public, or let's actually call it collection admin. And we can make this lock function in here, right? It's actually a resource interface, and then we can extend that on the collection, and we can call it collection admin. So what should happen is the user should be able to, store a collection in their account, and then link collection admin to the public. Now, again, the issue I was describing before is that, this would allow anyone to be able to call the log function. We don't necessarily want that. So what we can do instead is, this is where I call the access contract pattern, is we make a function have access contract, but we put it in the public domain. So it's sort of strange in that even though that it's public, no one's able to call it, except for functions that we define in this contract. So I actually think I write it out here. We can write a function like this to lock the user collection, and we can take in their public collection here and then lock it. Now again, this can't be called by everyone in the public because it's access contract, but it can be called elsewhere in the contract, but still on the public reference. So the admin is able to lock the collection totally fine, right? So this is what I call the access contract pattern. So boom. And it's pretty simple. Right? I write simple isn't it? The public is not able to call lock through the public interface anymore, but the admin is able to, because we made an additional function inside the admin resource to lock the function within the contract. The only remaining question is, do we want the user to be able to lock their own collection? In the above contract, the collection owner can still lock their contract because the lock function is still public inside the actual resource. So if you notice, right, in this case, because the collection owner, this is public, right? The public, the collection owner can still lock their own collection. Well, if we wanted to change that, of course, we could just change this to access contract. And now this makes it so that the collection owner can no longer, lock their own collection, because this can only be called inside the contract. So now the admin is able to still lock it, right, just like normal, but the user cannot anymore. All right. Now, can anyone tell me, by the way, what is what's a problem with it? This is actually the end of the lesson. But I am curious. Can anyone tell me the issue with something like this? What can the user do to prevent the admin from locking their collection? Right. Exactly, Falcon. So what can happen here? That's not good. Is the admin or sorry, the user can unlink collection admin from the public, and then the admin can no longer lock the collection. So this is something to look out for. I think that there's a lot of helpful use cases for this sort of thing. Um, there's a lot of times where the access contract pattern is really useful, but you should always be aware that one of the downfalls of this pattern is that the user can always unlink from the public, and it screws everything over. So the scenarios that I would suggest using this pattern in are areas where if the user unlinks the public resource interface, it only screws them over and not the entire application. So what I mean by that is actually, let's take a look at the float contracts for a second. I think there's actually an example of this. Access contract. Oh, there has to. Oh, I think it's access account. That's why. By the way, remember that technically this is the same thing as the access account pattern, because access account and access contract are the same exact thing in this case. Well, let's take a look. Where is a good example of this? Hopefully I think I should have one in here. Unless I don't, that would be kind of sad. I do use this pattern for floats, but it's a really complicated example that I don't know if it's actually. It's like it's one of those examples where like it's heck. Okay, maybe that's not a great idea then to show that. Yeah, no, it is. Well, okay, I'll try to explain it. So basically, well, let me actually try and get a grasp for how it's used here, because it's much different than what I showed just now. Um, right. So the way that it's used, the way that it's used in this use case is for shared float events. So you know how you can like add someone to your thingy, and like they can also mint floats for you. Well, basically what happens is there's this function called borrow shared reference, and this is a public function that you can call into other people's float collections. So like if BZ adds me, I can call into his collection and call borrow shared reference, and it gives me a shared reference. So it'll literally return me a reference to a float event, which is like that's a very powerful resource, right? I can mint stuff with that. I can do whatever. And the way that it's getting this is actually called borrow events ref. So it's using a public interface, right? Float events that's in the public domain, float events public, and float events public is right here, and it uses this access control pattern or this access contract pattern, so that I can only call borrow events ref inside this contract, but it's still linked in the public domain. So if you're curious, I'm gonna put the link to this contract in chat as part of your homework, or if you want to go through the quest and you want to provide. I actually think I ask you. I think I describe. Come up with your. Oh, whoops! I just solved the quest. It says using the flow contract, find at least one example of the pattern being used. Yeah. Oops. So that's the answer. Um, but yeah. So this is the example of that being used. I swear it's used elsewhere, but maybe not. Oh no, it is. It's also used. Okay. So here's your assignment for all of you. When you're going through here, I covered one example. Just as a hint, this is the second example. So when you're doing your quests, try to describe. It asks you to describe one. Use this one and just try and describe this to me, and I'll mark it correct if you use this one. So try and figure that out on your own. All right, cool. So that is day one. Any questions on that? I know that. Sorry, I know that that was like very abstract, and it's hard to really understand the use case, but um, there will be times if you get into more difficult cadence work where you'll have to use that sort of pattern. But just remember that the user can always unlink it and make sure that if the user does unlink it, it just messes with them and not with important things. Yeah, the flow contract is so long. I see a couple people typing in chat, so I'll just wait for a sec. Ricardo says so you can have a public function, but with access contract parameters in it, um, but I'm guessing the opposite, not so much. A private function with public parameters. So I guess you mean, what do you mean by parameters? You can have a public function with access contract parameters in it, but I'm guessing the opposite, not so much a private function with public parameters in access. Do you have an example of that, Ricardo? Oh, the locked one here? Public function one access contract something. Interesting. So you're saying public function, function one. Oh, so you're saying to call an access, like to call lock in here? Oh yeah. Okay, stuff.lock. But if the outer function is private and the inner function is public, you can. Yeah, so that is tricky. So in this case, like, yeah, lock can only be like this function can only be called, you know, in the contract scope, right? So I can only call this lock function in this contract, but this function I can call in the public. So if I can call this in the public, then it'll just call this one. So it's like it's almost like once you're in the public function, nothing else really matters. Like it'll just call this, even if you're calling from outside the contract here. And similarly, if the outer function is private, right, and you said the inner function is public, so let's say self.withdraw, then you can only call this function within this scope, or inside here, but it'll call that. Yeah, so at that point it really only matters what this one is. Yep. All right, so day two is access account. Now the only reason this is in the intermediate course is because weirdly enough we actually didn't cover this in the beginner course, because I think access account's sort of strange like that. But it's very you pretty much already know this. It's very similar to access account. I guess I'll ask all of you, what's the only difference between access contract and access account based on looking at this diagram? And while you're all answering that, I'm going to see what I was trying to get at here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Oh, I know Andrea joined because I heard a mic exploding.
What's up?
What's
Boom.
boom? What's up? So
Huh.
Raven says account can access all contracts in that account. Yes, so access account means it can be called from anywhere in that account. So any contract inside that account. BZ says account 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 allows to reach other contracts, whatever the admin, right? As it is called access to contract or access to the account, right? Yeah, so what Falcon said here is pretty much, sums it up pretty well. If an account has many contracts, it can access to all, right? So, and Ricardo, you said the same thing. So, yes, very useful. Now, the thing about this is that it's actually like, even though it's pretty simple, it can be used in a lot of ways to make code a lot more efficient. So let's take a look at that today. So let's say that we have. I'm just gonna deploy a bunch of random stuff. Also, Andrea, we are using the new playground today, which is hype.
Sweet.
But let's say we have a contract called Sword, and then we also have a contract called Shield, and then we also have a contract called Bow. And right, Sword, Shield, and Bow, these are all like weapons or whatever. And for each one, it's going to be like an NFT resource. Now, imagine that each of these contracts is a lot more built out, right? They conform to the NFT standard. They have a collection, blah, 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 blah. I just shortened it to make it a lot simpler. But let's say that this was all deployed. Actually, this is perfect that we're using the new playground today, because this is the lesson where, wow, that's actually bizarre that aligned. This is the first time that I need to deploy multiple contracts to one account, and the new playground supports that, I think. So that's bizarre, but good.
Should, yeah.
Yeah, so we can deploy this to account one. Okay, and I think we can also deploy this to account one. And we can also deploy this to account one. Boom. All right, it worked. So super cool, right? All of these contracts are now inside of account one. Um, so let's think about minting these things, right? How would you normally like mint, or actually, how do you have to mint an NFT? Like, what do you have to, like? Let's say we only want an admin to mint these NFTs. What do you have to add to the contract? And it's a, you all know this. It's a very simple answer. Like, if you only want an admin to mint an NFT, what do you have to add here? Right, a minter or admin resource. So let's just say public resource minter, and let's say public function mint, and this returns an NFT, right? Very simple. Return, create NFT. All right, so we added a minter for sword. We also added a mint. Let's also add a minter for shield, and let's also add a minter for bow. Right? Is this annoying? We're gonna have to store a lot of minters, right? Yeah, it's super annoying. So each time we want to mint an NFT, we're gonna have to borrow a different minter out of storage. We're wasting storage space, right? So it's pretty inefficient, also a little bit costly. Um, does anyone see any different ways we could do this? Possibly incorporating a fourth contract and the and access account functions. Hmm. Right. So a minter contract. Okay. Public resource weapon minter. And what can we add in here? Yeah, a proxy. So let's actually bring the minter over to here. And what could we expose? Or this actually should be a contract, sorry. Instead of having a minter inside of each of these contracts, what access modifier could we use instead? Instead of a resource and then a function, we could actually convert this to a function with a certain access modifier. Right? Are we starting to think through this a little bit? Inherit all the contracts from a contract with Minter? Yeah. Yes. So what does that look like exactly? Like, does someone mind writing this out a little bit more? What's sort of the idea here? It's a couple sentences about maybe what I could start doing, or even one of the steps I could start doing. Yeah, so right now I have a minter in contract 1, I also have a minter in contract 2, and I also have a minter in contract 3. And we're saying, you know what, we want to get rid of all those minters, and we just want to have one minter inside the weapon minter contract. Now, I'm trying to think of a way, how could we get rid of all these resources in the sword, bow, and shield contracts, and instead just have a function in those contracts, but that's only callable by the weapon contract, the weapon minter contract. Right, exactly, BZ. So we can start off by just completely getting rid of the minter resource, and instead we can make this function access account, so that no one can call this because it's access account except for other contracts in our account. So what we can do now is inside our weapon minter contract, we can import, what is this? Sword. Let's import sword from, oh, how do you do this on this playground actually? It's just imagine something like that. We can call sword.mint, or actually, we can make a public function mint a sword. That's a sword.nft. And we can say return sword.mint like that. Okay? And then we can also go to contract 2 and do the same exact thing for our shields. And then inside of contract 4, we can also import shield from the same account and say public function mint shield. This is going to mint the shield.nft and then return shield.mint. And then lastly, we can mint a bow. This is going to mint a bow.nft. It's like that. We're also going to import bow account one. And we can go into the bow contract and also do the same thing. And now we've restructured our code to be a lot neater, and we only have to manage one minter. So we can mint all of our NFTs from one simple minter that we know is at one storage path, and we don't have to, handle, or we don't have to deal with multiple minters. That makes sense to everybody? Yeah. Share. I'm sorry, I don't think I can share. I don't think this playground lets me share. But this recording will be available for you. Love the game. Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, I told you that this chapter would be super short. Um, I guess why don't we spend the next like 8 minutes or so trying to find another example of an Access contract, just because I know I probably didn't explain this that great. I'm just trying to think of where. Oh, I'll give you a perfect example. Developer grants. I believe I made a. Oh no, I think actually. Let's go to my GitHub profile. I think I have dynamic NFT standard. Perfect. So this is actually something I developed for the Flow Developer Grant, like program or whatever. The dynamic NFT standard is basically something where. Wait, actually, is this a good? Let me. Maybe I'm an idiot. Wait. I think I'm. And make sure this is a good example. Yeah, this is kind of a good example. So basically, the way that that this dynamic NFT standard works is you can you have NFTs in your account, right? And an admin at any point should be able to go in and update one of your NFTs. However, we don't want this to be done by everybody, right? Like obviously if Ricardo has an NFT, I shouldn't be able to like upgrade it, right? That doesn't make sense. Like we only want the admin to be able to do that. So this isn't quite what I was talking about, but it's very similar actually because it uses Access contract. But the way that it works is you have a function inside the NFT collection called borrow auth NFT, and this gives you a full reference to the NFT, right? You can call anything you want on it. And this function borrow auth NFT is exposed in the public domain, so anyone actually can call this. It's public. It's not even Access contract. It's fully public. Um, but what's interesting is that inside of the full reference, if we actually take a look at the NFT reference here, we can see there's a function called update metadata, and this is Access contract. So what's super interesting about this is only even though the borrow auth NFT is public and it allows everybody to get a reference to this NFT, not everyone can call update metadata because again they'll have this reference, but they'll have this in like a transaction somewhere, right? And so they won't be able to call this function. However, if you scroll down to the admin in the admin's update metadata function, the admin gets a public reference to the collection using collection public, so it gets a public reference to it here, and then calls borrow auth NFT, which anyone can call, but then of course only the admin is allowed to do this line where they say NFT ref on the on this reference, and they say update metadata because it's Access contract. So this isn't exactly the pattern I was talking about, but it's very similar in that Access contract is only being used for admin rights and is the function is accessible through the public domain, but it's only callable by the admin here. So this is another sort of example of that. So like I was saying, I use access contract all the time, and it comes up a lot when you start talking about like how do admins have certain access to functions, but public users don't. All right. Any other questions? If not, we can stop there for today. And the stuff next week is also just, it's going to be super fun. Next week, we're going to be talking about auth accounts and scripts. Ooh, that's a fun one. I love this one. You're probably thinking, what the heck? But yeah, it's possible. But we'll get there next week.
Yeah, maybe one thing. This might help you in your finding examples when you want to show something. Contract Browser now supports code search.
Oh, really?
So if you go to contractbrowser.com and you search access contract.
Wait, does it also support like comments?
Everything.
Oh, because I wrote a bunch of
in the
things
top
about
right,
you.
in the top right, if you search access contract like you would write it in Cadence,
Oh,
and you scroll
wow.
down,
Oh my God, how is it even possible? Wow.
Andre, he's proud.
two words, Svelte and Lanford.
True. Although Lanford hates Val, doesn't he?
Well, that's why
Lanford,
he's only working on the back end.
right? Yeah, because he loves Next.js.
Well,
Yeah,
Lanford is a smart guy.
that's so
Yeah,
funny.
he's a genius.
Um,
Oh, why does it do that? Can you double click on the little bottom right theme picker again? Okay. I don't know why it does the contrast thing for you. Anyways. Yeah, so basically how this works, I still need to, so one thing I'm going to add soon is when you see used by X amount of contracts, I want to do it so that you can click on it and it loads the contracts that actually use that specific snippet.
wow.
But really what this is, it shows you all the blocks, the cadence blocks, whether it's a struct, a resource, a function, that contains the specific text that you're searching for.
Wow. You know what's super interesting about this? This is sort of like a side point, but it's really interesting to me to see. It's honestly kind of sad. It's like this listing right here is used by like basically every marketplace, and it's used by 86 contracts. Like this entire snippet. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like that it goes to show you how much like duplication there is.
Yep. Yep.
That's nuts. This is so cool though. What the heck? Nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to flag it because if you want to look for an example while you're teaching, this might make it a bit easier.
Let's see if people use float in their own contracts.
Yeah, well, if you well, you can search here, but you can also do you want to see how many people import float or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go up there, it says dependents.
Oh.
No. Go back. Actually, if you look up, if you use the contract quick finder and just search float in the, yeah, exactly. You scroll down in the right, you see float is used by
Popular.
if you see there, float is used by 18 contracts. And those are the contracts that are using it. So these are the
Ah.
contracts that are actually importing it. Officially
Oh
importing it.
wow! Look at that. That's just cool. Well, Lampions pack. Let's take a look. What Lampions pack. Import float, and where are they using it? Or
Yeah, make sure you double click the theme thing. I don't know why it messes up like that. It's low contrast because it's using the dark theme coloring for the code. But exactly, yeah.
oh.
Yeah, I don't know why. Okay, but it's fixed if you just click it. I don't know. Strange.
Yeah, I just I love the popular. Wait. Let's go back. Let's find another one. Ugh. Not popular. What the heck? That's so annoying. Why is it not
You can
popular?
because it has zero dependents.
Oh.
Zero people import it.
What else is popular? Oh. Ooh.
Find.
Find. Yeah. Find. Ooh.
And
They
they
made
have,
it.
first of all, they depend on 10 contracts. They import 10 contracts.
Well, that's
Well,
crazy actually.
that's because like Biatek, he basically imports .find on all his contracts, I think.
Oh, he's cheating.
Isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
He's cheating.
Yeah.
He's cheating.
Yeah, he's
It's
cheating the
cheating.
game.
He's
That's
cheating.
not.
Well, he's composing on top of his own stuff.
No, he's cheating.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Okay, but if you go to the homepage, if you click on the logo, you can see top contracts. These are the contracts that have the most dependents.
Oh my god, yeah, look at that. That's nuts. Emerald Pass. Wait, why?
Okay,
Wait, what is using Emerald?
all of these.
Oh, Touchstone.
Oh, the touchstone contracts.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep.
That's cheating as well.
No, not cheating. Not cheating. Because I'm not deploying these. Look at this. Oh wow, that's so cool. Not cheating at all. Wow, I'm gonna start importing all my contracts even if I don't use them. I'm gonna start importing Emerald Identity on every contract I deploy.
That's literally what I actually wrote like 2 minutes ago.
Yep.
Look
Yeah.
at that.
Easy 2 minutes ago wrote, I'll import float in all my contracts even when they don't use it from now on.
Oh no way! That's so funny. We said the same exact thing. It's just funny. This is pretty cool. Really cool, actually. Recently deployed.
Yeah, these are the latest contracts that have been deployed to mainnet.
NBA Top Shot Arena. Okay, is this like some beta? Is this like some alpha right here? Uh-oh, alpha. Ooh, Arena coming to NBA Top Shot. Confirmed.
The magic of the open blockchain.
Right, yeah. Confirmed. Popeyes. What's Popeye?
I don't know.
Anyways, this is crazy. This is pretty cool. Pretty
Yep.
cool.
So if you want to search for a contract quickly, you use the contract quick picker, right? So here you put like float and you select it from the drop down. Oh yeah, and this quick picker also searches the actual full text code. So that's why it finds float with Jacob. And then if you want search results, this is because you signed your contract with Jacob in it. Yeah.
Wait, music peak social token, and it says I made it.
Well, I think it's because they probably copied a float contract.
Oh, they literally copy pasted it. Wait. Why is it copied like that? Wait, who's? It's so funny. Let's see. Hello world. Jacob is so much cooler than you. What are people deploying? What is going on the contract browser? Yo. Oh, maybe someone like took a tutorial of mine on YouTube? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool. That's so cool.
Or this is maybe even you just showing how to deploy to mainnet.
Oh, this contract is inspired from float verifiers that comes from Emerald City.
That's so
Oh, that's
cute.
so cute. That's so cute that they wrote that there. Who wrote
Yeah,
Yeah.
this?
those guys actually have a really nice website. Let me
Mind
show you.
tricks.
It's actually really, really cool. I was so hyped when I saw it. Um, no, not that, Jacob. Go to this one. This one. Uh,
Oh.
mindtricks.xyz, I think. Like, try and look at this. Like, look at this.
Whoa, that's awesome.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's so nice.
They have a Discord? All right, let's write a nice little comment here. I'm a human.
You're gonna get insta banned from that Discord.
Am I getting a banned here? Am I getting hacked? What's going on? Oh, look, Raven's
Hey,
already in
Raven's
here.
part of it.
Raven, what are you, a sneak or something?
Raven's everywhere. It's crazy.
Right. Good stuff. All right, anyways, I don't want to realize people might be sticking around just to see if the workshop's over, but yeah, the workshop's over. Thanks for coming. And the next one is on Monday. So,
This is actually. Oh, sorry.
oh no, you can go, BZ.
Oh, I just wanted to mention to Andreas, since he was here, it's actually pretty cool to see that, yeah, like almost 1,000 new contracts has been deployed on mainnet in just like 2 months. Because I remember, like, I just checked, like last time I checked, it was like 1,900 contracts on Flow mainnet.
Hmm.
That's a lot of contracts in just 2 months.